Hey, how's it going? It is 12:22 a.m. on Monday, February 22nd. That's not the only thing I'm going to probably screw up this show. My name is Eric. I'm coming at you from Bodrum, Turkey, and you are listening to Eric on the World. So, yeah, I changed the name of the show. That's what we're gonna go with for now. As with all things, as with the last name of the show, it could change. I talked about this a little bit. I just it was obvious that one, I wasn't living in Berlin, so an American in Berlin didn't really apply anymore. And that also, as I've done with some having guests on recently, I want to be able to engage people on topics that extend beyond Berlin. And by no means, not only have I not exhausted, I barely even scraped the surface of culture in Berlin and Germany. So I'm going to continue to do that. But the logistics of it were honestly just very difficult with COVID in terms of not just like having guests physically present or whatever, but discovering them. Because sure, there's some things I could talk to people about and get recommendations or just Google myself. But I feel like so much of me being inspired by ideas is meeting people out in the world and be like, oh my God, you work for a sausage making factory. Let's have you on the show. And with COVID, it's just like, I barely made any new friends in Berlin, let alone new contacts for having guests for the podcast and so forth. But also, yeah, like I said, I don't want to be limited to just Berlin in that way. I've been uploading a lot of, for me, a lot of YouTube clips. And so I'm hoping to, like I said, just expand beyond the scope of Berlin. I want the show to be about traveling various places in the world, but also topics like philosophy and comedy and politics. And, we did a little on gender and pronouns. And kind of the through line is definitely me as the host and my perspective and my experiences, but also that of my guests. So it's me, and it's me on traveling, me on religion, me on drugs, maybe at one point, me on a bunch of stuff, but me on the world as well as my guests. So Eric on the World it is, and we'll see how that goes. I want to start blogging as well. I do kind of weekly updates from my family on social media and so forth about my experiences, but it would be cool to do that in a blogging format and, hope to inform and entertain people in that way and also like grow listenership and so forth. So we're going to run with that one for now. I could have had a couple guests tonight, and I actually elected not to because I want to kind of just like hit the reset button, figure out exactly what's going on. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, hopefully this is Monday the 22nd, and I stopped saying the year. Monday 22nd, 2021. And hopefully you'll have the show name changed. I'm going to try to do a logo tonight. I have German class tomorrow morning. I thought last week was my last week of class for the semester. It turns out it is not. And then I have my term papers after that. But anyway, so yeah, that's name change, branding, rebranding. Let me know what you think. You can let me know on Instagram at Eric on the World. That's right. I let go of Eric Berry Writes. That was a long stand-in one. Eric on the World, and as well as Eric on the World podcast at gmail.com. Can you believe that someone already had Eric on the World at gmail.com? After I confirm all this other stuff, the fucking Gmail's not even available. So Eric on the World podcast at gmail.com if you want to email me. I am here in Bodrum, and speaking of Berlin, it's been warmer in Berlin the last week. And the whole reason that I came here, the whole reason that I risked my lives and the lives of you and your grandmothers hopping on a plane was in part to come to warmer weather. And nope, Berlin, after this massive snowstorm, it turns out, is having some very nice weather. I think in Fahrenheit, it's in like the low 60s. And maybe up to 17 degrees Celsius. So that's nice. But Bodrum's coming back strong this Wednesday. We're supposed to hit 19 Celsius. So, I still ultimately think I made the right decision. But I am having to look forward and moving back to Berlin. So if you know of any Vegas or housing around April, May, do let me know. How have things been going here? They've been going okay. I've had various bouts of feeling crazy and depressed. Nothing new for the last 12 months for the world. Nothing new for me necessarily in my lifetime. But yeah, it's been a bit much. Just feeling like isolated here. I mean, I was isolated in Berlin too, but I had a roommate and some people I could go on walks with and so forth. And Turkey being in the lockdown, and there's the language barrier, there's the cultural barrier. It is a Muslim country. They are much more conservative than Berlin for sure. But also, the citizens are on lockdown basically after 9 p.m. and all weekend long. So and people aren't traveling. So like encountering people, it's just not happening the way that, in typical travel times it would, of course. So that's been a bit lonely. But I got back on dutasteride after my big ass rant a few weeks ago about finasteride and dutasteride. And I'd be lying. I alluded to this in that episode, but dutasteride is even more hardcore than finasteride. And I think it has absolutely changed my behavior and my hormones. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. And I feel super wacky. I have been eating like a motherfucker. Like I haven't been drinking since December 30th. And a big part of that is definitely, hopefully losing weight, in addition to, saving your liver and money and not killing brain cells and being waking up refreshed and early. And it's like, I'm not doing that part, and I'm definitely not losing weight. I've probably gained, I would venture to guess, 20 pounds since I stopped drinking. And I'm just like scarfing down pizzas and shit. And it's really bad. Like really bad. I was walking, I don't have a car here. And I was walking to the mall trying to get some equipment for the podcast. And it was like a 7.5K walk. And I had on a t-shirt, which normally fits like decently well. It's one of my favorite t-shirts. And every time I passed a reflection in a window, it was just like chunk-a-lunk walking along, And it really got me down. Like that my weight will always get me down, but especially when you're like, man, I'm not having any of the joy of drinking. And I'm not having any of the joy of losing weight, I've been so frustrated. I know I'm in Turkey, and I know it's coming from a privileged place, but like, dude, having a Mac and traveling is the most frustrating thing in the world because no place caters to Macs. I've gone to 3 major electronic stores, like Best Buy size style stores. None of them carry MacBook chargers. My little voltage converter, or whatever you call it, like adapter here, if you can see in the video, that I actually bought when I visited Germany a few years ago, has been hissing and popping, and it kind of was doing that in Berlin. It's really doing it here in Turkey, and it just sounds like this is how I'm going to kill myself, is waking up to smoke and fire in the walls because of something like this. So I was trying to get a new MacBook charger. They do not sell it at any of these places. Like, one place is like, oh yeah, we have one. And it was like half the wattage and for a model that hasn't been made in the last 5 years. And it's like, all right. I understand that overwhelmingly people use PCs, but you would think they'd have some on hand. I don't know. And then because the MacBook Pro only has 2 of the USB-C ports, I believe that's the name of it, and everything in Europe is made for just your old standard USB, like you can't plug anything in or charge it. So I can't show it to the camera, but like I have this like S-Link thing they sold me for like $70. So ostensibly I could plug in this light ring that you see that's shining light on me right now, along with my recorder and my phone and my MacBook and a hard drive and record. And it's like, if you turn the light on, it makes the microphone stop working and it makes the hard drive stop plugging in. So it's like I have to pick and choose what I'm using at any given time. And yeah, it turns out that editing videos is adding tons of data to my MacBook that I don't have. So I had to buy the hard drive. It's just been a whole thing. It's been a whole frustrating thing. So I walked for like the third or fourth time in the last, week and a half to the electronics store to try to sort something out with this to get the hard drive in that instance. And yeah, I was just like, oh God, I'm getting so fucking fat. And I was really confronted with this idea of like, where does the joy come from, And I don't want to be like, I find my happiness in drinking. I don't want to make it sound problematic, but I definitely like use variety to break up my day. And perhaps this is the difference between an outgoing person or an introvert or an extrovert, but I definitely do draw my energy from other people, but I just draw my energy from like the unexpected and discovery. And the problem is, so like with drinking or like going to a new bar, it's like, oh, what beers do they have on tap? Like just that alone is very exciting to me. Who are you going to meet there? That's very exciting. So obviously we don't have the social element. I don't enjoy drinking by myself because drinking is very much tied to being social for me. So then what do? I turn to food. Like food is where the joy comes from. It is something that I love. I love shopping at new stores because you're like, oh, what confection or item are they going to have, here? What piece of sugar-laced cake or weird European sugary candy bar, Smarties, whatever the fuck are they going to have? And I get a lot of joy out of that. And like knowing that something is waiting in the refrigerator for me at some point in the evening and rewarding myself. And I don't have the self-control to eat, a quarter of the bag of something. It's like, dude, I busted through a whole package in one go. Not just one sleeve, like the 4 sleeves of chocolate Oreos the other night. And yeah. So, I mean, like I definitely struggle with overconsumption, just generally speaking in life. But I think that it's been compounded by not drinking. I'm definitely in a sugar deficit because I never normally have like a sweet tooth. But also I do think that this dutasteride, like I am suppressing my testosterone, my DHT levels, and increasing my estradiol. And these are kind of like female associated behaviors like higher fat content, water retention, things like that. And I do think that that's affecting me. But the things that we do to have a fucking full head of hair or not a really annoying bald spot on the top. So yeah, I just don't know where the joy comes from. That's my question now in life. Where does the joy come from? I think I'm going to write something about that. I'll bring it back to the show at some point. I saw a petulance the other day. What's a petulance? Literally sirens blaring, dedicated, those big armored bank holding money looking trucks, ambulance, but for pets. Petulance. It had a little cat and dog drawing on it. And that they have a problem in Turkey with strays. Like I rounded the corner the other day and there was like 19 cats, like a horror movie, just staring at me. And they don't view it as a problem. They don't spay or neuter their pets. They actually leave food out for the dogs and cats, which seems like a nice gesture. Like, oh, good, they're not letting them go hungry. But they would much sooner do that than spay and neuter them. And so they're just all over the place. Like some have come into the apartment, just unannounced, several cats. Like, which is like fine to an extent, but then like, you want to go, you don't want them to piss on the couch. Then I have to, pay the guy here some money at my Airbnb. So it's like, you got to kick them out, but you don't want to pick up a stray and have them scratch you and you get some sort of fucking disease that, you cause the next pandemic all of a sudden. So yeah, it's an issue here with the pets. Why am I even talking about that? The petulance. Yeah. That put into perspective healthcare in America, right? They didn't, I break my arm. I got to have my mom just have me take a Tylenol and wrap some duct tape around it. And meanwhile, there's a fucking parakeet getting CPR here in Bodrum, Turkey. Is this thing on? Huh, folks? Oh, I look so much like I'm doing stand-up in this video. This is fun. When's that going to happen again? I don't know. Hopefully back in Berlin. On that mall trip, good news. I purchased a pair of jeans, which I have not been traveling with for quite some time. Had a big hole, probably from getting fat in the crotch, and decided these are just weighing me down. Didn't throw them away. I know other people could repurpose them, but I'm in another country, and I didn't want to deal with while traveling, like getting jeans sewn up and whatever. So I just left them for whoever wanted them. If they want to throw them in the trash, fine. But I've been having these like cargo short / pants, the zipper kind that convert, and a nice mustard color, which seemed to go very well in Ecuador. It actually didn't look bad at all, but for whatever reason, my skin tone in the Mediterranean and the clothes I'm wearing, I stick out like a tourist. Like I literally notice that people treat me differently when I wear those pants. And so I bought some jeans for $69.99 Turkish lek, which literally exactly to the cent translated to $10 for a new pair of jeans. Feel really good about that decision. And people are treating me differently. They can't tell. I got a beard that's dyed a little bit and a face mask on. I look like one of the Turkish guys, I'm not sticking out like some guy that you're going to be able to rip off. So that's been one really positive thing that's come about. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to rebrand the show. I'll still do these little rants like this, I'm sure. I have no sense of how anybody feels about these things. I know sometimes they wander, a lot of times they wander, and that's in some sense the point of them. But, someone asked the other day, they're like, oh, so are you just surviving off money from your poetry book? And it's like, dude, I appreciate the optimism, but even if I was some famous ass person selling a poetry book, I have made, not net, gross, $143.47 to date. So that's after what? It's like December 19th, January. That's after 2 months. I made $143.47, and I spent about $550 to get it published with the illustrator, the proofreader, all the hosting services, and so forth. So, no, I'm not surviving off the poetry book. I would love to find a way to monetize this kind of thing. That's not my first priority. My first priority is just to gain viewers and listenership, and then that one feeds the other, and those things translate. Because I have no idea what I'm doing in life creatively. I do feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I am working on a new novel that I think could do well, but I don't want to do that and publish it like a poetry book into the abyss. So it would be nice if I had some dedicated listeners, some fans, some readers, and then when that book does come out, you guys can purchase it. See how the marketing machine works here. Either way, there's a system and there's cogs. You're going to be a part of it. The question is, do you just build your own system and become a cog in it? Better than in someone else's, right? Even though I do need a job. So if you do have one available for copywriting, audio production, anything else, just being a charming personality, do let me know. You can email me at ericontheworldspodcast@gmail.com. Please, it should have changed in iTunes. Do me a favor, rate and review the show. If you're new to the show because we changed it, welcome. Hasn't this been a blessing in your life so far, these last 20 minutes? All right. Yeah, and then follow me on Instagram, Eric on the World. I got to get used to saying that. Eric on the World. Yeah, on Insta. Hey, thanks so much. And no matter where you are in the world, hey-oh, be loved and be well. Be well and be loved. Yeah, be well and be loved. That's my trademark sign off. See ya.